Welcome to Cannon Raceway, the #1 karting experience in the Midlands. A claim shared by Cannon Raceway, Fastlane Karting, Midland Karting, Team Sport Birmingham. But no matter, there's likely a very good reason Cannon Raceway once held this title, because once you find your way past the nauseating smell of reheated Tesco value cheese pizza coming from the party room, you'll find a really fun karting track. One I visited by myself, because after the last time we came here, I don't think asking the lads would be a very good idea. We got a fun, twisty little track to drive on today, with a bridge, a banked corner, and the luxury of driving almost all of it with my foot to the floor. Here's the layout. So, as we cross the line, it's a long, sweeping right up a ramp and then straight across a bridge, which dips a little bit and helps you pick up speed for this, a banked left, which can either make or break your lap depending on how you take it. Then we bear left a bit, then it's a sharp left turn, followed by a standard right turn. After that, you've got yourself a double hairpin. Here's the first, and here's the second, but we're actually going to take the second one a lot wider on the exit to set us up for the final corner, which is actually another hairpin leading us across the line. Now, you might notice the camera angle is a little different for this one, and believe me, it's just as painful for me as it is for you. The reason for this being that Cannon Raceway, for whatever reason, do not allow chin mounts, but are more than happy to let you mount a brick of a GoPro directly to the top of your head. It's gross, I hate it, but let's work with it, shall we? I think it's time I hop into the kart and begin my first session. So, right out of the pit lane, immediately on the tail of Kart 18, who's sort of just coasting along. Again, this was a practice session, so not everyone's at race pace, people are just here for a bit of fun, but I'm just trying to find my way past, because being this slow is actually kind of painful for me, so I look for any opportunity I can find. I brake slightly earlier here to get the inside on the double hairpins, which works a treat. I'm going to bring back the overtake counter for this one, purely because I can, because it's a bit of fun, and that completes the first lap of the track. It's a pretty short track, as you can tell by the fact that there are still karts pulling out of the pits, but fortunately it happens safely enough. I try to go round this corner full send and lose a lot of traction coming out of the exit, which means I almost put it nose first into those barriers, but fortunately I get a grip on it, and now it's time to catch up to kart number 4, see if I can get past. Kart number 4 wrestles their way around the apexes rather than taking it smooth and wide, and then the yellow flags come out because up ahead, this individual has done what I almost did, which is kind of lose it at that banked corner and spun around. What I'm not understanding is why they didn't just drive away, but maybe their engine had cut out, because that was a problem for Ryan last time we came here. So I'm now gaining on these two, waiting for the yellow flag to lift so I can find my way past them. The yellow flag takes a little bit longer than I would have liked it to, purely because of how long it takes the marshals to cross the entire track from that one post they all like to stand at. This individual's still facing the wrong way, but things are going to get resolved nice and quick, and we can get straight into the action. And there are the green flags. Now, you might remember there were two karts in front of me, but kart 4's yellow pace is a bit different from kart 15's. But I still need to get past this person, so I brake earlier on this corner here, find the slightest gap down the inside coming out of the exit to the banked corner, close her out nice and safely in the corner after that, and I can carry on my merry way and really start throwing this kart around. A couple of laps later, I finally catch up to the back of kart number 4, because yes, that's how far ahead he got under the yellows. Apparently his yellow lap pace is my race pace or something. So I try and overtake him around the outside, going over the bridge. Just as I get past him, the yellow flags come out once again, because someone else has again dropped it at the banked corner. Trust me, I get it, man. It's a hard corner when you're new. I didn't realize how much of a disaster the first session was until I watched my footage back. The guy on my inside gets shown the pit flag, which means he has to return to the pits. The dude on my outside slows up a lot, which means I basically overtake them on the yellows. And then it's a red flag, because as it turns out, that one situation that should have been an easy pull out of the barrier and send everyone back out onto the track has turned into a multiple kart situation, because either people are not responding to the flags correctly, or it's taking that long for things to get resolved that it's causing accidents. I love it here. Fear not though, I brought that overtake counter for a reason. When the lights go green, I get the jump on kart 18 with a faster reaction time, go around the inside, and then close them out at the next corner. Now I've got a bit of a cluster going ahead of me here. Kart 5 goes wide, kart 1 goes on the inside. I overtake kart 5 and then find my way through the inside of kart 1, splitting the lanes and overtaking 2 at once. That felt like a really nice move when I did it. It looks a lot less impressive than how it felt. Now I'm behind kart 15 again. I couldn't get round on the inside, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to beat them in a match of speed coming towards this corner, and now all I need to do is catch up to the person ahead of me and see what I can do there. They're trying to take the tightest possible entries and exits out of every single corner, which means that compromises their speed, and I'm able to just throw it down the inside, and finally the track is all mine again. As you can hear by that little cheer, I actually really enjoy this track because it's really fast-paced and you can spend a lot of it with your foot planted to the floor. You can really throw yourself around this track, and it's a pretty physical experience, to be honest. The first time I ever came here, I left with blisters on my hands, but don't let that deter you. This place is really fun to drive. But here things get a bit interesting. So I've caught up to the pack of pretty much everyone here. 2 people go on the outside, so I brake early and go on the inside and then continue that momentum to overtake 3 people in just the space of 1 corner. But then this guy in front of me, as I catch up to him to try and make a move, he loses his back end and I accidentally hit the back end of him. And as he tries to correct himself, he gets knocked forward. I give him a thumbs up to make sure he's okay, but that must have been a bit jarring for him. So now I need to catch up to everyone who just overtook me after that and see if I can get past them again. So now that everything's alright again, I go through the inside of this individual here to get past them, and then I kind of quite cheekily slop my way through there. I did make a little bit of contact. That wasn't the cleanest overtake of all. This individual ahead of me loses his back end, and I try and overtake around the outside, but he's holding the inside really well and actually shuts me out. I brake a little earlier to try and get the inside line through here, but again, he's holding his inside really well, but he goes wide in that corner, which means I'm able to once again split the lanes and overtake 2 at once. I know it's not that impressive in a public practice session, but it felt amazing. This has been a pretty fun session so far, but as we cross the line, the checkered flag and the yellow flag goes up, so it's now time to pull into the pits, and then I'll have a quick word, and then it's straight onto session 2. So, pretty fun time so far. It's been a blast to be able to drive this track at full speed rather than the cautious crawling required of us last time we drove it in condensation. Despite almost dropping it, the bank corner right here, we got some nice overtakes in that session, and I had a lot of fun, so let's just go straight ahead and jump into session 2. Alright, so who have we got first here? Okay, this is kart number 5, and as I'm chasing them on the banked corner, I try and get the inside line done, but I lose traction, which means I can't set that up. I brake to make sure I hit that apex. This guy kind of loses control a bit, loses all of his speed, and I basically just find my way through on the inside. And I figure out right here that if I take a wider exit on that corner, it means that I can set myself up for the final corner a lot better, which is going to prove very beneficial for my lap times. We've got another kart up ahead of us here, so I tunnel vision them, so I follow what I believe is the racing line, because the biggest problem I actually had with this place was I always try to look up hot laps of tracks before I race on them, but with this track in particular, my personal best is faster than any lap I can find, and any lap that's faster is actually this track in reverse, so I'm not really sure what the line is, and I've been trying to figure it out, but I've been doing something right because I've caught up to the back of this kart here and I managed to overtake them nice and clean on the outside, which then becomes the inside on the banked corner, which I now know how to take nice and safely, putting me firmly ahead. My personal best of the day was actually a 23.292, and I lost the timesheet, so I'm not exactly sure which bloody lap it was. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to matter now because I've caught up to the back of a pack yet again. Kart 13 kind of loses his back end there as a result of responding to someone's brakes, so I now need to find my way through all of these people. 13 closes off the inside, so I can't just sneak my way through there, which means I actually have a battle on my hands to get past this individual. But he goes wide going through the banked corner, which means I'm able to just throw it down the inside. The kart ahead of the kart in front of me almost loses his back end right there. I brake earlier to get the inside on kart 8, but I somehow don't make the move stick, so I try and go around the outside and try and throw it down the inside, which works a treat actually. So now it's the 2 up ahead of me. Now this guy up ahead of me, even though he keeps having a snap of oversteer coming under the bridge, he's not to be underestimated because I try and throw it down the inside, which accidentally results in a little bit of contact. But he holds the inside line and I make my way past by dive bombing him in this corner. But he's not down and out, he's on my inside and we go two abreast coming up the ramp and across the bridge. Fortunately, that then becomes my inside, so I'm able to safely shut him out, but that was actually pretty fun. Now it's time to get kart 16 out of the way, and she's kind of struggling with this kart. She's leaning into the corners, she's sort of going tight into both the entry and exits. She kind of loses her back end there, so even though she's actively slowing me down and doesn't have much control over her kart, it seems, she's actually still holding position really well because I can't find a way around her without being way too risky, which is not something I want to do. She goes kind of wide into that corner, but then snaps straight into the center where I am. We have a little bit of contact, but I give her a thumbs up, everything's fine. So now I'm back ahead again. And I'm singing. If you've been in my Discord server, you will know that if I'm singing, I'm having a good session. Join my Discord server. Here's kart number 1, and we're going to try and find a way through with a much cleaner exit out of this corner, which awards us a lot more straight line speed to simply throw it through the inside. And now let's get this individual in front of us out of the way, and we're going to do that with some early braking in this corner, which awards us the inside line coming into the double hairpins. Nice and clean. We're going to do the same trick to find our way past kart 5. We're going to brake nice and early here, awarding us the inside line, throw it straight through the inside, and that's another one overtaken. It's always satisfying to do. I wish I could do these in actual races, I'll be honest, without, crashing. Now, it's been a bit of a running theme in my last few videos where kart 13 has been my undoing, but fortunately, this session seemed to have broken that stigma because kart 13 goes nice and wide here, basically giving me enough space to go through. But I'm now on the bump of kart 16 again. This individual has proven a little bit difficult to get past, and she's still kind of wrestling for control of the kart, but I managed to find the inside nice and clean to get past quickly. Up ahead, though, is kart 3, and kart 3 gave us a good battle earlier on, so let's catch up to him and see what he's got for us this time. Now, I've caught up to him on the bridge right here. He has a little snap of oversteer coming out of this corner there, which means he actually holds the inside line quite well. But he gets a wide exit out of that bit there, which means I'm able to brake early, go down the inside. It's a tale as old as time at this point, but that was the last overtake of Session 2, so let's just swing into the pits and let's get Session 3 underway, shall we? Or we would, except we have some complications. Now, sessions 1 and 2, I was using the same kart, which, luck would have it, would be kart 11, a kart which, when I arrived, was being driven very quickly by someone who clearly knew what he was doing. For the third session, though, I was swapped into kart 18.
Bastian Vettel and Pierre Gasly! Oh!
Yes, the downfall of Aston Martin himself got me again, this time cursing me with one of the worst karts in the building. I also completely messed up the recording this session because one of the joys of top-mounted GoPros are the fact you have no way of checking in a pinch if it's recording or not, and I accidentally turned it on, then off, then on, then off, and then on again, trying to listen out for the 3 telltale beeps saying it's recording. Here's what I could salvage of the third session. Now, what makes this kart I'm driving so bad is the fact there's just no power. It gets up to about half revs and then gives up, but fortunately, because my racing lines are a little bit cleaner, it actually means that I'm able to overtake 2 at once again, but it means that that guy ahead of me is absolutely crawling away from me. Listen. That is this kart flat out. I barely have to brake. What definitely didn't help this session was a combo of both the kart and the marshals for whatever reason thinking it was a fantastic idea to randomly flash yellows multiple times, which completely threw me off when I was trying to do a lap. This individual is kind of driving a little slower, so I find it down the inside. Again, this kart is still ridiculously slow, which means the guy ahead of me I'm having to reel in slowly in order to catch up to him. But I'm sure that with a bit of persistence, I'll be able to catch up to him. The lights are about to go red here, so I'm going to use that opportunity to, for whatever reason, turn my camera back off again and then turn it back on again. Seriously, I did this 7 times. There are 7 different files for Session 3 alone. Why am I like this? Half an agonizing lap under yellows go by before it's finally time to go greens, and the guy on my inside right here, incidentally kart 13, gets a much better reaction than me, and because his kart's got more power behind it than mine does, he gets more power going up the up ramp and actually builds a bit of a gap. Fortunately, a little bit of confusion generated by this yellow flag, which didn't need to be a yellow flag, means that we end up going 3 abreast coming through this corner, but I have the inside line and managed to overtake 2 at once. I don't know why they kept doing that in this last session. That wasn't the first, and it won't be the last time they'll just flash the yellows and then put it straight back on greens. Like right here, I think. Yeah, there it goes again. I don't know why they did this, but they did this multiple times in session 3, and it was infuriating. Now, this clinically depressed kart has been struggling to catch up to this individual in front of me for several laps now, but fortunately, there seems to be a little bit of traffic in their way, which actually might prove beneficial for me. I throw it down the inside of kart 15, who's had to slow down exponentially in response to these individuals, so thank you everyone. Kart number 8 goes wide, which means I'm able to find the gap, and then kart number 6, being driven by the same girl who was driving kart 16, still having the same trouble, still sort of losing the back end, sort of almost bumps into me, swerving towards the inside, but I make it through nice and safe, which I think is a much bigger achievement now that my kart is a lot slower. We go 2 abreast around the outside of this corner here, but I can't make an overtake on this corner, so I brake a little bit, slip behind this individual, and then find the gap by braking early in the hairpins. That seems to be the prime overtaking spot for this entire track from what I can tell, because that means I've been able to carve through 5 people in one of the slowest karts in the whole building. Yay! This yellow flag was actually real. This individual was in the barriers before this marshal very quickly pulled him out, very quickly got off the track, and now it's green lights again. So that means that the marshal was able to very quickly resolve this situation and get off the track in order to make the track, clear to race on, which means these marshals are good at what they do when, they are in the correct position. But for whatever reason, once again, they pull their usual flashing yellows for no reason trick, which absolutely throws off the pace of my lap, and you can hear under the commentary I'm getting really frustrated by it. We've now caught up to the back of kart 3 and kart 8, and kart 8 actually pushes kart 3 wide, opening up a lovely little gap for me to throw it straight down the inside and overtake 2 at once. It's still nice to be able to make those moves while the kart I'm driving is actively trying to slow itself down while I hold the accelerator. Oh my god, this kart was depressing. Unfortunately, that seems to have been the last bit of on-track action, because after a pretty underwhelming session 3, it's now time to pull into the pits and call a close on Cannon Raceway, and I'm going to give you my closing thoughts as well as talk to you about something else. So, there you have it. Cannon Raceway, a decently priced, fun track to drive on, albeit with a couple fleet issues and questionable marshalling choices. There's clearly spots where the marshals should be. Why are you all crammed in this one box? Whoa, wait a second. I know you're about to click off. The outro's the part where I yap a lot, I know, but hear me out just this one time, because I'd like to take this time to recommend 2 other karting YouTubers. If 6,000 of you decided I was worth subscribing to, I'd wager a good deal of you would like these guys too. The first guy is Karting with Josh, who seems like a pretty innocuous channel on first glance. Then you click on one of his videos and he's got the cleanest, most energetic commentary ever, some really cool F1 style visuals, and even this really cool camera angle where he mounted a 360 camera to his chin mount, so we can see either side of him, as well as a brilliant point of view shot with tons of field of view. It's great content, and I really can't wait to see him post more. The second guy is the Pit Lane Collective, a channel presented so professionally, I did a double take when I saw he only had 34 subscribers. What is wrong with the YouTube algorithm? He's got this really relaxing, sort of chilled out vibe to his commentary, but with a really good sense of humor sprinkled in there, as well as the most genius camera angle I've ever seen. One I'm going to attempt to copy so I can hopefully get some footage of my own at Three Sisters Circuit. He's put a little Go 3 inside his helmet using some pretty interesting DIY tech. Also, he did a hot lap at Warrington and actually bothered to make a mini-map. How cool is that? Do yourself a favor, check these guys out, alright? Support their content, because I think they deserve it. Anyway, providing all goes well, next video will be my stint of a 2-hour endurance race I'm doing soon. Either that, or my plan to copy TPC's camera angle will fail somehow, and then I don't have a clue what the next video will be. Team Sport Liverpool, maybe? Until next time.